Turning now to the second part of the show, what will happen to the stories of people like Yehuda Avner. In his case, he's written a book. But what happens to the memories of the thousands of others who participated in the formation of the State of Israel? To the rescue is an organization called Toldot Yisrael, and its project is to record the memories of the founders of the state, the famous and the not-so-famous. Here is a clip from the archive from Toldot Yisrael.
I was sitting and minding my own business when someone I didn't know approached me and said, are you ready to defend Jerusalem? So impulsively I asked, of course. And then he sends me to another guy who I didn't know and a third guy, and eventually I was led to a basement in the Rehavia High School where there was an induction ceremony. And what was it? Three guys whose faces I never saw behind a table with a Jewish flag draped on it, and no lights, everything dimmed, and they're interrogating me and the two or three friends who were lined up here. And why did you come, and why are you staying? Because nobody in their right mind was hanging around. Jerusalem was a very difficult, unsettling period at that time. And we must have passed muster, because at some moment they confronted us, in one hand with a Bible, and in the other hand with a pistol, and gave us an oath of allegiance. Well, I had no idea what I committed myself to undertake until maybe 50 years later in the Haganah Museum in Tel Aviv. There on the wall was the oath of allegiance. I hereby undertake all the days of my life to defend the Jewish people. Blah, blah, blah. I knew I had no idea what I signed up for. I've been doing that all my life. But had I known then, I'm not so sure I would have signed up for all that. Lay your life on the line every moment.
Joining us now is Eric Halivni, the director of Toldot Yisrael. Eric, this is a fascinating project, and Tzipora Porat must have been a wonderful interview. How did this whole thing come about?
Thank you very much. This is something actually I've been thinking about for many years. I guess when I was a student here initially, I was interested in what it would have been like, and I'd always, if I could have been born at some other time, what it would have been like to have lived at the time of the founding of the State of Israel. And then when Steven Spielberg's project started to record the stories of Holocaust survivors, I felt this is a fantastic project, but there needs to be a continuation. There needs to be a parallel project to record the stories of the people that were involved in the founding of the State of Israel. I always assumed somebody else had done it, would do it, and every once in a while I'd think about it again. And then a few years ago I said, you know what, I need to find out. I need to find out if anybody's done it, what people think, and got this project started.
How many people have you done so far?
So far we've interviewed over 200 people.
And you're looking to gather how many?
We're looking to get to several hundred more over the next few years. I mean, we're dealing with a population who, at the young end, are close to 80 people who were already involved at that point. And the oldest person that we interviewed was 101 when we had interviewed them.
Of these 200 people, what's the focus? First of all, where do these people come from? What would they do during the war? And what's the focus of the interviews?
Most of the people we've interviewed are here in Israel. We've interviewed a few people overseas, but most of them are here so far. And the idea is to interview people who, not only people who fought in the War of Independence, people who also are involved in the various underground movements before the state, people who came as volunteers from overseas and fought, but also people who were just witnesses to history. One of the first interviews we had conducted was with somebody who was in the Tel Aviv Museum when Ben-Gurion declared the state, talking about what it was like. He's holding the invitation in his hand, what it was like to actually be there when this had taken place.
There aren't too many people left alive who were in that room.
No.
And what are you going to do with it when it's all done?
The idea is to build an archive that will then be able to be accessible and available to people to use for academic research, educational projects, documentary films. And we're actually getting this process started right now, where people have already turned to us for some of these things, and we're doing something on Yom HaAtzmaut together a partnership with the History Channel, where we're taking some of these pieces and they're going to be broadcasting different segments, 2-minute segments, excerpts from some of the interviews that we've done.
During the course of the day on Yom HaAtzmaut on the History Channel. And can anyone access these tapes?
At this point, we have a website where some of the clips are available, but we're in the process. Again, this is it's a small operation. It's really it's mostly me. I've got a cameraman. I've got some interviewers, and a few people who've been working doing the filming and the interviews. But we're trying to build up this archive so that it'll be available, that people can then access some of it online and actually come in to be able to view the material as well.
If some of our viewers would like to help with the project or know people who were involved in the 48 and the war and leading up to the war, could they get in touch with you at the website to recommend people to interview?
Absolutely, absolutely. On the website, there's all the forms that people can access in order to recommend an interviewer if they'd like to be involved themselves. Certainly to donate if they are willing. The website is www.toldot.Yisrael.org.
And you get to listen to all these interviews. Tell me a poignant moment that you heard on tape that just blew you away.
There are so many. One of the inside jokes that we have is that the videographer calls me every day and he says, "You're not going to believe it. Today was the best story we ever heard." Every day. So there have been a lot of phenomenal stories. One that personally had appealed to me, were some of the people who had at least similar lifestyle to myself, people who came from the United States. And there was one person who had named Harold Katz, who told the story about after he had been in the Navy and he had been a Harvard graduate, now he was at Harvard Law School, heard about the fact that the British were not allowing the Holocaust refugees into Palestine, and decided that he needed to do something about this, and his story about how he volunteered to be part of Aliyah Bet, the illegal immigration. So it was a very moving story that he had told.
Right, very good, Eric. Halivni, I wish you luck, and this project sounds like taking Yehuda Avner and expanding it and having it for the future for the next generations.
Absolutely.
That's all the time we have for today. We'd love to receive your emails. Please write us at ibatvnews@gmail.com. I'd like to thank our guest, Ambassador Yehuda Avner, author of The Prime Ministers, a look back at his career working with 4 prime ministers, and Eric Halivni, executive director of Toldot Yisrael, a project that is taping the history of people who helped create the State of Israel. Thank you for watching Close Up. Until next Wednesday at the same time, Chodesh Tov and Shalom from Jerusalem.